Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is November the 10th, 2021, and today the topic is commandments. I am recording a little bit later than usual again, so my apologies for that. But I'm here. I was quite distracted this morning, had a lot on my mind. And then on top of that, I ended up reading a lot as well in regards to this study this morning. So, yeah. I might talk a little bit more about that in the after show, but for now, let's go to the juice. So, obviously, I kind of reflected on the commandments this morning. I mean, that is not a foreign topic to any Bible reader, Bible hearer, or whatnot. I mean, I'm sure at some point you all and we all have heard of the commandments. So, interestingly enough, I'm not going to read the commandments to you all today. If you're not familiar with them, then I did write them in the Go Deeper section. So check out Deuteronomy 5, 7 through 21 if you are not familiar with the commandments. However, I guess I'm just going to share with you all what I came across in general during my study this morning. So when I looked up the definition of commandment, it said a divine rule, especially one of the 10 commandments. So it's funny again how, a lot of time the world is acknowledging God, even though it spends a lot of time not acknowledging God. But anyway, let's move on from there. Because that's a whole nother little subject by itself. So one of the first verses I came across this morning that actually led me to this whole idea of studying the commandments this morning was Deuteronomy 28 and 1. It says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments all his commandments which I command thee this day, that Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." So that is what led me to do this, I guess, study, or to go deeper in regards to listening to God's voice and the commandments and everything like that. The interesting thing is I ended up reading the entire Deuteronomy 28. So that is in the Go Deeper section as well. But as I was reading that verse, I guess the thing that came to my mind is like, okay, what commandments, right? Because it was saying repeatedly, like, if you keep his commandments, X, Y, and Z, do what he commanded you, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, all right, well, what is he talking about now? And that's just, like, obviously I was familiar with the commandments. However, that's what made me go deeper, because it was like, all right, well, let me see. So I assumed that it would be like the chapter before. So I looked into 27, but they weren't there. And I looked at the 26 and they weren't there. So it just was like this ongoing conversation of, if you follow the commandments, X, Y, and Z. When you go deeper, right, you're going to see in Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 14, they're talking about all these great things and blessings, blessed in the city, blessed in the field. Like, again, verses that, I feel like most people are familiar with, because we like talking about this stuff, right? It's all the blessings, right? But then, right, if you keep reading between 15 to 68, it's like the worst possible curses. Like, every possible thing that you think could be bad that could happen to you is in that section. It was, as I was reading, it was kind of reminding me of the Grinch song, like how everything was more bad and horrible about the Grinch. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I was feeling as I was reading it. I think I stopped at some point and was like, okay, I get it. Every, bad thing possible if you don't keep these commandments. And it says it like so clear that it's like, okay, Lord, well, let me look at these commandments again, man. Like, let me take a look at that. So that's what I did at that moment. I ended up, reading the commandments and the verses that I shared with you all earlier in the Go Deeper section. Again, I don't intend to read that to you today because I did not write them down. I would behoove all of us to go and just look at it for yourself. Because honestly, even with looking at it, like even all of us that sit here and be like, oh yes, I know them, and oh, I don't do any of that stuff. But just because maybe you don't do some of the main ones, like the thou shalt not kills and the thou shalt not steals and that type of thing. But hey, when it gets to coveting your neighbor, like, can you clearly say that you don't do that? I mean, maybe in some ways I do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm being honest here. So yeah, like, are there, can you say that you don't look at your neighbor or whatever the case is? Maybe because we're looking at them on social media. Maybe we looking at, different friends and family in our life and wanting the things they have. That's coveting. So if you're doing that, friend, I mean, hey, um, let's not sit here and act like, we're perfect here. Let me see, what was the other one that kind of stood out of my mind? The Sabbath, man, like keeping that Sabbath. Like, I mean, I am guilty of finding ways to work every day. I mean, yeah, I'll take a break from the juice. But I mean, are we taking Sabbaths, man? Are we resting like we should be? X, Y, and Z. I'm just saying, y'all, like, I mean, obviously each of these are important. So it's just something to think about on today. So yeah, if you haven't read them, if you're not familiar, then I hope that you all go deeper and look at them for yourself. And pray for strength to do what they say. Because the interesting thing I would say that stood out to me, I want to say after I read the commandments, was verse Deuteronomy 5:29. It says, "Oh, that there was such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever." This is what God desires, man. This shows his heart right here. Like, at the end of the day, it's like he knows that we're not going to do it. But he's like, man, I guess basically what a wonderful thing it would be if we did. So again, something to think about that stood out to me today. I'm going to keep going. Matthew 22 and 36 and 38. 36 through 38. It says, "Teacher, which of the great commandments in the law, which is the great commandment in the law?" And he said to them, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment." So, yeah, I mean, with it being the first commandment, I mean, obviously it's very important. Even if you read that section that I gave you all, you're going to see that he elaborates. He says this, like, "I'm the Lord your God, don't have no other God before me, X, Y, Z." And then he'll go into why. Like, he's like, because I don't like X, Y, Z, and this is my nature, X, Y, and Z. Like, you have to read it for yourself again. But I mean, it starts there, right? I guess that's at the end of the day, it starts there, loving God. And again, I mean, I've talked about this a lot of times here on the Juice. Like, not only, I guess, are we struggling with this one commandment, because we're still struggling on trying to believe whether he exists or not. We're still struggling on just the belief, right? So yeah, I mean, the love, I mean, anyway, but it's the first commandment, so just saying here. 1 John 2:4-5, it says, "Whoever says, 'I know him,' but does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. By this we may know that we are in him." So, I mean, it says what it says here, y'all. Obviously we should take all this a little more seriously. Again, I think we focus so much on the bigger commandments, or the commandments that are like, oh yeah, I don't do this or I don't do that. But hey, I mean, all of them apparently are important. So I would say, let's take some time to read them. Let's take some time to, I guess, as they say, take inventory of your life and see what you've done, right? And then, repent if needs be, and then move forward and try your best to do this. Cause yeah, I mean, this is what is affecting the blessings, right? This is what is affecting your life at the end of the day. Like, you know, we do all this complaining about like the way things are, and and let's just keep it there. We do all this complaining in general, and it's very clear about, this is what you'll get when you do this, and this is what you get when you do that. So we shouldn't be confused as to why things are happening the way they are. When we know that we do certain things. And honestly, God still shows us grace, mercy, favor, and all that stuff repeatedly, regardless. Because again, I mean, I'm sure plenty of us have the testimony of being in sin and then, seeing the error of our ways, repenting and all that stuff. The fact that he gave you the time to do all that, right? Shows again his heart, the grace. And yeah, I guess we just shouldn't be taking any of that stuff for granted. But hey, I don't know if this, is Pope for you all this morning. I don't know if you feel like this is some refreshing juice to let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. But whatever, way you see it, that's the juice for today. And I hope that it encourages and inspires you. But the Bible verse of today is Hebrews 4:12. It says, "For the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Everyone is stuck at home, but life is still happening around us every day. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, and celebrations. Send your friends and family the gift of wine from the comforts of home. Wine shop at home with Miracle of Wine. Wine, gift baskets, wine accessories, and more at miracleofwine.com.